In 1999, David Duval shot a 59, became the #1 golfer on the planet, and looked absolutely unstoppable. 2 years later, he lifted the claret jug at the Open Championship. Then he missed 31 of his next 34 cuts, lost his tour card, and lost everything that once defined him. To understand how it all collapsed, you need to see how high he climbed. David Duval's journey to golf's summit began in Jacksonville, Florida, where his talent stood out from an early age. At Georgia Tech, he dominated collegiate golf, twice earning ACC Player of the Year and collecting the 1993 National Player of the Year award. Those honors weren't just trophies, they were proof of a player already outpacing his peers. After turning professional in 1993, Duval spent 2 seasons honing his edge on the Nike Tour, picking up 2 wins and building a reputation for relentless focus. By 1995, Duval arrived on the PGA Tour and wasted little time making an impact. That October, he captured his first victory at the Southern Open, finishing his rookie year with over $880,000 in earnings, a record at the time for a tour newcomer. The following season, he became a fixture near the top of leaderboards, consistently finishing inside the top 30 and signaling that his game belonged among the best. The breakthrough came in 1997. Duval strung together 3 consecutive wins to close out the fall, a feat that propelled him to second on the money list and sent a clear message to the rest of the field. By 1998, he was no longer just a contender, he was a force. 4 victories, including the prestigious Players' Championship, capped a season where he led the tour in earnings and claimed both the Vardon Trophy and the Byron Nelson Award for lowest scoring average. Duval's style was unmistakable: powerful drives, clinical iron play, and a calm that never seemed to crack under pressure. Each year, his statistics, driving distance, greens in regulation, putting, placed him among the elite. By the end of the decade, he wasn't just chasing greatness. He was standing on its doorstep, ready for the moments that would define his career. On a crisp January morning in 1999, David Duval stepped onto the fairways at the Bob Hope Chrysler Classic and delivered something almost no one in golf had seen before. He shot a 59 in the final round, a score so rare that only 2 men in PGA Tour history had ever achieved it. The round wasn't just a statistical marvel, it was a display of total command, capped by an eagle putt on the last hole that sent shockwaves through the sport. That week, Duval went from star to sensation. By March 28, 1999, he climbed to the top of the official world golf ranking, holding the #1 spot for 15 straight weeks. The world took notice. Headlines called him Tiger Woods' greatest rival. Sponsors lined up, but on the course, Duval remained unflappable, letting his clubs do the talking. The crowning moment arrived at Royal Lytham in St. Anne's in July 2001. Duval entered the final round of the Open Championship 2 shots behind, facing blustery winds and a leaderboard stacked with major winners. He played with the same quiet intensity that had defined his rise, steady off the tee, precise with his irons, and unbothered by the pressure swirling around him. A crucial birdie at the 12th, followed by a nerveless pair on the 18th, sealed a 2-stroke victory. As he hoisted the claret jug, the weight of years of near misses seemed to fall away. In the press tent, his words were simple and genuine. He spoke of gratitude and the privilege of competing at the highest level. For a brief moment, nothing could touch him. The Open win wasn't just a career milestone. It was the summit of a climb that had begun decades earlier in Jacksonville. Cameras flashed, fans cheered, and the golfing world watched a champion at his peak, unaware of how quickly everything would change. Pain became a constant companion for David Duval in 2002. The official diagnosis, lumbar disc degeneration, arrived that spring, but the warning signs had crept in during practice rounds and long flights between tournaments. Simple movements, once automatic, now sent sharp reminders through his lower back. Each week, the discomfort chipped away at the routines that had once made him the most precise player on tour. The numbers from that season told their own story. Duval missed the cut in 31 of his next 34 starts, a collapse that would have been unthinkable just a year earlier. His world ranking plummeted, and the sense of control he once owned over his swing began to slip away. Behind the scenes, his team scrambled for answers. Mike Turnbull, his longtime coach, worked with Nike's engineers to retool Duval's swing for the company's latest drivers. The goal was to generate more distance and adapt to changing equipment standards, but every adjustment came at a cost. Turnbull encouraged a wider arc on the takeaway and increased forward shaft lean at impact, subtle changes meant to squeeze out a few extra yards. But as biomechanics expert Dr. Jay Korn later explained, these tweaks shifted more stress onto the lumbar spine. According to Korn, even a modest increase in swing width and shaft lean can ramp up shear forces on the lower back by as much as 15%. For a healthy athlete, it is manageable. For someone with disc degeneration, it is an invitation for trouble. The endless cycle of swing, tinkering, and injury management left Duval chasing his own shadow. Nike's incentive-laden contract added pressure to embrace the new equipment, even if it meant more time in the lab and less on the course. Hours spent testing prototype drivers replaced familiar practice routines. The rhythm that once made his game so reliable now felt fractured. By the end of 2002, the pain was more than physical. It was a reminder that the game he loved and once dominated could turn on him in ways he never expected. The glare of the spotlight never faded for David Duval, even as his game unraveled. After his Open Championship victory, the coverage only intensified. Magazine covers, talk shows, and headline after headline painted him as the next face of American golf. But behind those public moments, Duval struggled to keep pace with the expectations that came with being world number one. In 2002, he admitted that the pressure became overwhelming. He talked about sleepless nights, about arriving at the course unable to focus, about a loss of motivation that crept into every round. Each missed cut was not just a statistic. It was a public reminder that something essential had slipped away. The numbers told a stark story. By 2004, Duval had fallen outside the top 150 in the official world golf ranking. From 2002 through 2003, he missed the cut in 31 out of 34 PGA Tour starts. Tournament after tournament, the questions from reporters grew sharper. Instead of discussing strategy or swing thoughts, Duval found himself fielding inquiries about his health, his mindset, and whether he could still compete at all. Sometimes his answers were clipped, sometimes evasive. The scrutiny only deepened the sense of isolation. Sports writers speculated about the causes, injury, swing changes, equipment deals, but Duval himself pointed to the invisible weight of expectation. In his own words, the pressure to stay on top had become too much. The relentless cycle of public disappointment chipped away at his confidence. What once looked like supreme calm now seemed like detachment. By 2011, the collapse was complete. Duval lost his PGA Tour card, a symbolic end to his time among golf's elite. The statistics were brutal, but the emotional toll ran deeper. For a player who once seemed immune to nerves, the struggle became as much mental as physical, raising questions about what remains when the game itself slips away. At Bethpage Black in 2009, David Duval found himself in a position few expected. After years spent far from the spotlight, he entered the final round of the US Open tied for the lead. The course was soaked and punishing, but Duval's steady play kept him in contention all day. On the 17th, a missed 15-foot putt cost him a share of the lead, but he refused to fold. He closed with a tie for second place, his best result in a major since his Open Championship win 8 years earlier. That week, Duval climbed back inside the world's top 100, proof that even after everything, his resilience hadn't faded. Turning 50 brought a new chapter for David Duval. He entered the PGA Tour Champions in 2022, testing himself against a field of familiar names and fresh faces. That season, he played a limited schedule, but managed a low round of 66, with his scoring average settling at 72.11. Competing on the senior circuit, Duval showed flashes of his old skill, proving that his connection to the game had never faded. Today, the pressure to perform still breaks more athletes than it makes. The line between greatness and obscurity remains razor thin. One injury, one misstep, and everything can change. In golf and beyond, Resilience is not guaranteed. Sometimes the game takes more than it gives. What would you risk for a shot at glory?